Namaste, friends. Welcome to the Happy Jack Yoga Podcast. I'm Happy Jack, live from the full moon vibes of Gravenhurst, Ontario, Canada. And I'm live here with,
Happy Hannah. And
yeah,
yeah, from Bracebridge, Ontario, Canada,
right up the
planet
road.
Earth.
Yeah, as far as we know, that's where we are. And I think about it. Like I went for a run this morning before the sun came up, and then a walk as the sun was coming up. And so the moon, full, just about, it was full moon yesterday, but it's just about full. And as I'm like on the way there, I can't see it, but then the whole run back from the mailboxes, the big moon is in the sky. And I just can't help but think, like, it just makes me realize, here I am in my little world, my little town, middle of nowhere, caught up obsessing about my thoughts, and it's just put things into perspective. It's like there's a lot more people, a lot more living beings, even maybe beyond this planet, maybe beyond this life. It's just there's something about, Sue mentioned it on the last call for the journey home, the vastness of the Grand Canyon. And
Mm.
it's like when we see something so big and expansive, whether it's a personality like Radhanath Swami or whether it's a Grand Canyon or a full moon, it somehow just like it just kind of gives us a different perspective, brings it's very humbling.
Yeah, that's true. Like it puts things into perspectives because usually we operate from a paradigm where like each of us is the center of their own universe in a way. Like, yes, we have relationships and those impact us and our surroundings impact us. We're aware of that, but then still we feel like we're at the center of it. We're the ones who has to deal with all of the different kind of layers of life. And it always boils down to the center of the universe, which for me is me and for you is you. And then to get the perspective like the moon or the stars or the Grand Canyon helps remind us that there is a big context that has nothing to do with this little center of the universe that we kind of identify as.
Yeah. Hunter, are you saying that in our marriage back in the day, I lived as though I was the center of the universe? No comment. We're not going down that road. But yeah, no,
I don't
it's
I don't know. That's a good question.
the tendency
Very
is
good
there.
inquiry.
But no, it's so true, and it's like sometimes we just need a wake up call, or just like something to give us perspective. Something actually had happened a week ago today. It happened right before the call with Radhanath Swami last week, but somehow I was on that call. I was just a bit nervous and just was like kind of there with Radhanath Swami, like all of you. But something that happened on my morning run, because I like to run on Tuesdays, I take my brother's dog Bandit for a run, because they're busy and they got kids and hockey. So I take him for a run in the morning. I shared this on the Business of Yoga call, and so I gave them the disclaimer of sorry if this is TMI, too much information. But as I'm, going for a run and I hydrated well, so I had to stop and go pee. And I'm in the, hon, I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. There's
Just
no,
tell them how the bush people do it. That's what they do. Like all your childhood, you would go outside
yeah,
to
yeah,
save water or
yeah.
energy, or what is it that you guys saved?
Yeah, I don't know if we're really saving much, but I definitely would get scolded if I came inside to go pee. Like just go outside. We're in the bush. But anyway, so I'm going, and all of a sudden my right foot is becoming warm and wet. And I'm like, this is not me. I know. And I look down and Bandit, Brian's dog, is peeing on my shoe. And this is happening like right before getting ready. I was trying to do everything to be in a beautiful state to welcome Radhanath Swami. I got the right sleep, the right nutrition, the right meditation, everything. And I think this was kind of a sign. It's like, Jack, it doesn't matter how well you prepare. It's good you prepare, but also be prepared for things not to go as planned. And so sometimes the universe delivers that.
That is so funny. It makes me wonder what your shoes smell like.
I washed them.
Yeah, but prior to that, like, why would the dog choose to go there? It's a smart dog, it's a bush dog.
Yeah. I told Brian, and Brian's like, he's never done that to me.
I don't think any dog has ever done that to anybody.
Well, no, because no, well, your dog,
He's
come
peed
on.
on you?
No, he hasn't. But no, here, okay, I don't know. Can't believe we're going down this road. But dogs like to pee where there's existing pee. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure Bandit came to pee because I was peeing.
Ah,
So that's why he
I
came. And
see.
your dog many times has tried to come and pee. And your dog's so small, I have to like kick him out of the way so I don't pee on Coco. So
Speaking of
this,
which, here he is.
yeah, so this is like no, this is a normal thing. Not normal thing for a yoga podcast, but this is a normal thing.
Oh, I didn't know because I don't usually operate in that mode when I walk my dog or go in the bushes. So I wouldn't know, but interesting. Thank you for sharing from your bush life experience. It's also part of the center of the universe and our smallness with regards to the whole universe and all of the layers of existence, this
Yeah,
being one of them. Great
this is
reminder as well, wasn't it?
yeah. Now I'm very mindful when I take Bandit out. I've got a stick ready to throw. No, that's what I did today. But it's just these little reminders, these little opportunities to be present, to be humbled. That's to recognize that there's something bigger than ourselves. And I was also thinking about this past weekend, Hanna. I'm trying to see if they're still on right
I'm
now.
so excited to hear where this goes now. From here, where are we going?
Well, I didn't plan to talk about the moon or the dog. That was random. So now I'm looking at my notes. Now it's gonna get all structured. No, what happened was this weekend we got together with some of the yogis who were coming to India, right? And five of us went to the local Krishna Cultural Center in Huntsville, and that was just beautiful. Why I don't know why are you still laughing?
I'm enjoying the structure from the moon and the being. Now we get to the structure.
Now we go to
Just
the
really
temple.
excited to see what the structure is like. Please uh, explain.
I don't have anything planned to say. I just have a note that says talk about the Sunday feast and reflections. So it's wide open what's going to be said. But it was just really nice, right? So we had Angie, we had Lorraine, we had Catherine, yourself, myself, the five of us, and just as you know, Hannah, you know my tendency. I'm an introvert. I like to be alone and just like do my things, but I also obviously, highest value is community and connection, and so it's which is why we get to meet here regularly. But that was I wouldn't say out of my comfort zone, but out of the norm to reach out and to say, hey, Hannah, I really want to go check this out on Sunday. Vegetarian feast, nice kirtan music, nice lecture. Which, by the way, the lecture was in Hindi, so that was interesting.
Really nice.
Yeah, but we had our own little private satsang after instead. But it was just nice to be able to get together with the yogis and start. We sat in a circle, just like we do here in Zoom, right? We sat in the Govinda's restaurant and we introduced ourselves and shared our experience with Bhakti Yoga. And some had been to India, some had not. And just really, and reflecting on Radhanath Swami of this idea of it being a pilgrimage, right? What is our intention? What is it that we're yearning for? And yeah, it was. I'll pause there before some further reflections. But how was your experience?
Well, bringing it back to the sense of perspective, going to a temple in the neighboring town is again a little bit like when in Boston when I come and visit you and you lived in the ashram, it's like a slice of India in the middle of kind of fancy Boston neighborhood. And this temple is here in the middle of Muskoka, which is like Canadian camping. What it's like here is like the typical Canadian. If you think about what comes first to mind when you think of Canada, this is what it's like here in terms of like lakes and forest and camping and canoes and firewood. And then in the middle of this reality, there is a temple in this town that is very Canadian on the lake. And then there's a main street. And on the main street, there's one building that they've like made Indian then. They built a temple, so it has the white walls and the towers, and you go in and it's beautiful because they have these kind of like structures are built. They
The big wooden carvings.
Yes, wooden
Yeah.
carvings, kind of statues, but bigger than human size
Mm,
of their deities. And it's also like the material that you see here a lot because it's native to here and it's used here to carve art and native art and homes, and everything's made of this beautiful wood here. And it's nice how they have implemented that into their like slice of India that is in the middle of the main street in Huntsville. And then you go into the actual temple, which is quite big to be in a small town here in the middle of nowhere. And this big, long room that is decorated in ways that only Indians can do, with colors, and like shopping bags were hanging from the ceiling, and with crystal lights, like crystals in the, how do you call this? Like chandeliers
mm.
that were gorgeous and golden, and everything's like very like rich in terms, like you understand that you're in this universe and you're having a different experience than if you went to the next building to the right or to the left.
Mm.
And then of course the whole experience is they are so welcoming to us. We're the only white people, and they know that we don't understand Hindi, and they go out of their way to make us feel welcome. And we know the temple president and his wife and the temple priest because we've met them. But even if we didn't know them, we know that they would, come out of their way to translate for us, and they appointed a person to translate for us. And they wanted to make sure that we felt included, which is not so easy necessarily if you've never experienced something like that before, because it is loud, there's a lot of people, and the structure of the event is different than what we might think in a place of worship, for example. So it's a powerful cultural experience that we're having here in the middle of Lake Country. And it again puts things into perspective, and it makes me think about the layers of awareness or the ways in which we look to um, come close to God or access God. And the container for that in that culture looks like that and feels like that. And the music takes most of us there, even if we don't understand it. It becomes like a container where it to me, and we were talking about it later, like it feels like a safe container, even if you don't understand the words or the purpose of every ritual that they might do. They're
Mm.
foreign to us because we didn't grow up with those symbols and those rituals or those practices. Maybe it's a past life thing, or maybe it's just because it is a powerful container, and if you let yourself join in the dancing and in the rhythm of it, it feels like, they say, even science shows this, if you go into a room where people are meditating, your brain will latch on to those waves that the other brains are producing. The energy that is being produced by the brains is, measured in these waves, different intensity or speed of energy that our brain produces. And when we go into a room where that happens, we tune into that, and then we together we can have a powerful experience. And so
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what it was like.
we witnessed that. Lorraine, it was beautiful seeing Lorraine as an example. I couldn't see the others' faces, but like she was sitting kind of perpendicular to me, and when the music, the chanting and the mantras and the music, just like sitting there with her eyes closed, receiving, and it's another Sattvic space. It's different. It's different than the moon, different than the Grand Canyon, different than Radhanath Swami, but in the same way, just like Sarah and George were saying how Tony Robbins and Radhanath Swami in ways are distinct, and also in ways they're very, very aligned with their spirituality and their contribution. And the same is in these types of environments, right? That we can receive that nourishment. And I mean, one of the part of the program is the Sunday feast. And oh my goodness, like I let myself, because normally I have my last meal like before 5 p.m., you know, and because I go to bed early and I just like to have a few hours to digest before I sleep. But I was like, this is prasadam. It's made with love. I'm out with friends. I'm gonna let myself have a meal at 7 p.m., which is quite late for me. And it was so tasty. It's just so flavorful. There's just like, oh my goodness, it brings me right back to, well, to being in Boston and also being in India, of course, to being in those type of environments. But of course, the interesting part, the funny part is that I ate that prasadam on the drive home. And because this is another thing of like knowing ourselves, knowing our nature and honoring it. We'd been together for 3 hours with the group from 4 to 7. And for both you and I, Hanna, it's we tend to go to bed early, to wake up early. And so it was be kind of like that intense music and connection and people. After 3 hours, it's like if we stay here for another hour to wait to receive the food, to sit down to chat, we'd be quite drained, and it would kind of impact the next day. And so being able to politely say, guys, friends, we're gonna step out. We're gonna take our food to go. And the three ladies, they stayed and enjoyed and connected and took their time. And Lorraine even spent the night in Huntsville to really have the full experience. But I think that again, honoring our boundaries and our needs. Knowing how we need to show up the next day is going to impact. So I'm happy we left early, and I'm so happy that I let myself enjoy that late night prasadam food made with love because it was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy that we took the time, all of us, out of our busy calendars to go to the temple and have that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, if we think about here, like, um, so this month we're reading The Journey Home. We're engaging in this book study together. We just had a satsang call with the community, and it's a number of people on the call brought up the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which is a classic. And have you read that, Hanna? I'm
I
sure.
have, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like when people share their story. Actually, that was one of the things that Radhanath Swami, when we spoke this weekend, and he was giving me just I wouldn't say advice. That's not the right word, but he was offering ideas on different questions that I had on the direction in life. And one of the things he said is, if you haven't already started, start writing your story, start writing your book. It's first of all, of course, and it's not to become, yeah, Sarah and George are celebrating, they get it, they're authors. Not for it's not with the point is not to become a New York Times bestselling author, then it's not about the credibility. He was totally coming at it from the point of, it's such a meditative experience. It's like you get to relive, his words, I don't have them in front of me, but it was essentially reliving each of these different kind of key moments in your life from a perspective of seeing God's grace in it, God's hand in it, divinity's hand. Because at the time it might have been really stressful or challenging or uncertain or fearful or overwhelming or sad or whatever it was. But being able to relive these moments through the perspective of our spiritual practice. And so now and really sincerely, like, not writing to be catchy or to be a bestseller or to anything like that, but really writing from the heart. And so that's something I, of course, have intended to do, post Harvard studies, and now having this next year wide open. I'm excited to start writing. I've got it. I've got it in my calendar now, right? It's like Tony Robbins says, when you schedule it, it's real. And so I've worked it out from 8, and so Hanna, just here's a memo for you. I'm not available daily between 8 and 9 a.m., just so you know. From 8
I'm
to
not
9 a.m.
either, so just
Good.
so you know.
Okay, good. You're not available from 8 to 12. Okay. No, I'm just teasing. So, but
I'm a
like,
slower writer, that's why.
but to have this hour and to just write. and it's not going to be hurried. It's not, it might happen quickly, it might happen slowly, but just to dedicate this time. And so I've probably shared inspiration of wanting to do this in the past, but I feel like it's going to really come into the flow now.
It sounds like it's coming closer and closer. And, you know, what I hear in that is how you're saying that to write from the perspective, like from this perspective of, I don't know how you said it exactly, what you words you used. The perspective.
Of seeing God's grace or God's
Yeah.
hand in it. So reliving the adversity or the key moment in life is like seeing them, maybe perhaps finding meaning in it,
Yeah.
seeing how it informed your path, seeing how it made you who you are,
Yeah.
and how the gift in it, right? And some of us might be good at doing that quickly, and some of us, we stew and dwell. But I look forward to going through it with that perspective.
Yeah. And I think you are someone who quickly, you know, flips to gratitude in difficult situations. But what I hear in that is it's such a beautiful perspective. Like it almost seems like, and I don't want to minimize or bypass the impact that adversity has. So that's like the only, I think, really big and important aspect is to stay real, but but to see the thing from a perspective of gratitude, because there's incredible healing, like even on a cellular level, that comes from practicing gratitude. Like our cells in our body respond because we're vibrational beings. We're
Mhm.
just not used to framing life in this way. And it's almost like I was talking about this with my youngest son yesterday. We have really great talks together. And I was saying, like, it seems um, like almost like we human beings are wired in a way where it doesn't seem to be almost like if it wasn't safe to feel grateful or to live in a place of gratitude, because then maybe we're like wired to think that life is fear based, like, oh, then the other shoe will drop. If I relax into this moment and feel grateful, then almost like we're not on our guard, like we're not being mindful or something like that. That our society isn't didn't bring us up with the perspective of God or grace or gratitude.
Mhm. Yeah.
And instead we carry the wounds and the what happened. Either we bypass them and pretend they didn't happen or have no impact on us, or we avoid them completely, or we stew in the past thinking like, oh, this happened, and we fear it means that I'm flawed or broken somehow. Whereas the actual integration of the past means that we let it heal us and be part of us and keep informing our perspective. So this happened, and that's why who I am today. And that's what we want for our kids too. If you think about it from the perspective of a parent, like you can't guard your child from falling. They are going to fall. They're going to have the human experience because it's part of being a human being. They're going to have adversity of their own flavor. And as and it's what forms their personality. And our job is not to coach them or be that inner voice that says like, wait for the other shoe to drop, don't get complacent. Our job is to say thank you for telling me, thank you for sharing,
Mm.
and hold space for that, and then we integrate the events.
Yeah, I bet it. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that it would be hard, could be hard, to want something, want a pleasant experience for your children, to want ease, to not want those challenges. But at the same time, when it makes a person who they are, like if I go back to myself in my 20s, I was out of control. And it's I see how it all happened for a reason. Actually, I wasn't there, but my brother and his son were out at like a barbecue the other weekend, and one of my old buddies, Ryan, was there. Who knows? He was there for everything, and he was going on for like an hour the whole time they were eating, telling stories about what I was like, and I won't even get into them on this call. But like my little nephew is hearing, all these stories, and I was like, I hope this. I hope he doesn't think this is cool. But at the same way, like I don't have any regrets. Like I feel like that period, um, that period of struggle and of trying to find myself in the wrong places, like has made it so much, as you say, now it's like so much easier to feel gratitude
Yeah,
when
and for so many people, that is normal. They think it's normal to struggle in those ways. In our
yeah.
society, it's normalized to binge drink and, you know, at that stage when you were young, all of your friends, a lot of your friends were doing that, and then they never changed their approach. Maybe a little, but not like there's some of them are still living that life, and they wonder what happened to you. Like they don't get it that you would not um want to live that life.
Yeah.
It seems
It's
like.
it felt like that in the moment. Isn't it funny how like that's where it's true. I believe it's really true that everybody's doing the best they can based on what they know and what tools they have and what guidance and teachers they have. I mean, unless a parent is like somehow really wired wrong. I mean, they're doing the best for their kids, and even if it's not so great. And for ourselves, like when I was partying hard, like that was like the epitome of like living life to the fullest, was like partying hard and rock and roll and girls and all that stuff. And then come back to our friend Tony Robbins, who was mentioned on the last call. When I was in that environment, as you know, Hunter, for 5 years, like very, like there, full time almost, and it was like this is it, like this is, and then at different stages, there's like different. This is it. I feel I could be wrong. I mean, this is if I were to. I'm going to share an update with my family soon to let them know. They know I'm going to India, but they don't know I'm going exactly for 2.5 months. So I'm going to let them know that here soon, and and, and then they won't be surprised. But kind of give them an idea of like what the path is ahead and what my plans are. I'm just going to send an email update and then take questions from there. But I feel like, and of course things will evolve and things will change, but kind of like what Sarah said on the last call, how like Radhanath Swami, he was just like all in on spirituality. Now, I'm not that. I'm not a monk, but I do feel like this spiritual path will continue to be the number one focus, and things like health and all of that will follow in our mission. But yeah, I don't anticipate. I don't feel another radical change. Anything's possible. I know you wouldn't be surprised if but I, but I guess the point being, like having tried, like going really deep with the drinking, really going really deep with the eating, going really deep with relationships, and realizing, and not that there's something wrong with all of those things, but that wasn't the path to kind of ease and peace and fulfillment and nourishment. It seems like it's something bigger.
And so what is it that this current paradigm, how is it different then?
It's different. I think like it was brought up on the last call, this idea of desire. It's almost like there's not a need, to have anything. There's not a need to prove anything. I've been in that state for much of my life. Like have to prove to my dad that I'm enough, or whatever, prove to anybody. but it's like this somehow, and of course I still have an ego and I'm still working through these kind of things, but somehow this spiritual practice is like softening that and kind of wearing it down and getting to this place of acceptance and this place of gratitude and this place of appreciating simplicity. And that's I think that's what's different versus like in the other stages, like I wanted something. I wanted the high. I wanted the girl. I wanted the significance. I wanted the whatever it is. And now it's I want I want a loving connection with divinity. I want to serve. I want to yeah, and it's but it's not from a desperate place. It's from a place of ease. And decisions like taking a year off is like, oh, I feel my shoulders relax, and that's different, you know. But I'm sure things will evolve. As I've shared, like I'll at some point I'll meet somebody. I anticipate I'll meet and I'll share my life with someone, and then maybe I'm traveling somewhere different or living somewhere different, or so life will evolve. But somehow there's like this foundation from this foundation that feels nourishing.
Mm, that's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
like you found a little bit of peace.
yeah, yeah. And it comes from again coming back to Sue getting that at the Grand Canyon, others experiencing a taste of that with Radhanath Swami. There's something about being in the association with the presence of people. Like just again, we got to have that call with him, but then when he called me on Saturday, we had like a 45-minute phone call, and I basically asked hot seat asked him like every big question on my heart, like the big decisions, and there was no telling of what to do, but just the way that just somehow knowing that someone has your back, knowing that someone can love you and support you in that way, and I don't know, I felt like empowered after. I felt like things started happening. I mean, for those who you probably, I mean, it's not a big thing, but you notice all of a sudden the pictures and the degrees and stuff are on the wall behind me. Like they were just like sitting on the floor for the last couple few months, and just like there was just like let's go, let's do the thing, let's stop procrastinating, like let's live life. And that's a very small thing, but somehow just that is the point being that association, being and we get that from community and from other seekers, but somehow that association just like, and it wasn't like an inspiration of like, oh, let's go, let's achieve, but it was like so much gratitude and so much of this feeling that everything is okay, that like let's just go and let's do the things I'm planning to do, but with no stress and no attachment.
Hmm. That sounds like healing
Yeah.
from the paradigm that you described before, where there was a lot of attachment and going all in and kind of extremism. It's extreme in eating, extreme drinking, extreme following a guru like Tony Robbins or your
Who's a,
previous
who's a,
yoga
who's a
teacher.
great guy, for
Yeah.
disclaimer. Obviously, we know, we both
Yeah.
know he's a great guy, but maybe my relationship towards him or other teachers wasn't, optimally healthy.
Yeah, like the attitude maybe around like how there were times where it's was a little extreme, like you would take their advice maybe too much in a way that like you kind of lost yourself a little bit into it, perhaps because you had to
Yeah.
look like your first yoga teacher and like copy other people, versus now it seems like Rana Swami doesn't want anything from you
Mhm.
and is a great mentor in that way. And obviously, just his example is inspiring. His depth of faith and presence and attunement, like he can attune into what you are saying. He's not trying to make you become a monk. He's not interested in getting anything from you.
Mhm.
And so then then it seems like he's able to really see you and help your nervous system relax and and feel at home. Like you can be you and you can use your strengths to create things that you want, but without the kind of fear driving you from the
Yeah.
past, where it was like never enough. You always had to prove something, whether it was financially or socially in the group of friends or work wise, right? You climbed the ladder in the corporate system with every cell in your body. Your every waking moment was about getting your job done and doing really well so that you can get to the next step.
Hmm.
Whereas now, what it sounds like, what you're saying is that the fear isn't driving you, the needing to please isn't driving you.
Yeah. And it's very foreign in a sense. Like have as you mentioned, having someone like a mentor like a Radhana Swami who doesn't want anything from us or only truly wants the best for us. Um, because it's foreign because most people, myself included, we're just kind of wired in a way of like, what's in it for me,
Mm.
right? Like we take a course, we join a club, we do a certification, a relationship even. There's always some element of like, and even if it's like it doesn't have to be financial. It's like how can I grow? How can I contribute? Like there's still it's like that's in it for me. How can
Yeah.
I contribute? How can I contribute? Um, and to as you say, to meet someone that doesn't need anything, doesn't expect anything, and to be with someone that could give really good advice, and it's like it's almost like if he did tell me what to do, I would I'd think that's probably a really good idea. But there was none of that. There was really no advice. It was a I guess because I was able to reveal my heart and share what felt right for me, and just to have encouragement of that. Like it sounds like you've thought deeply about this. It sounds like you have a sense of what's right, and you know and yeah, I mean there's a lot of details of it, but just really trusting yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So how does this apply for what does this have to do with being a yoga teacher?
I always, when I lead the 200-hour teacher training calls, I always say that you can bring your whole life to this training because everything is relevant to who you are because you are your first tool. And so you're going to use yourself to teach. So all your experiences are what shapes you and who you are becoming. So that's why I think in our Happy Jack Yoga system, self inquiry is welcomed, and each of us decide to what extent. You're our fearless leader, so you um, let us into every part of your soul, but and not everyone has to do that. Not everybody has to discuss their lives to this level of intimacy of where they pee or do not pee, but any of their insights that they do find that they are in inquiry around, like it's part of our practice, is like what is it you're processing in your heart is going to come and show up in how you lead, because when you're a teacher you lead. And yes, you don't have to of course we won't have this level of conversation in a yoga class, but it's going to inform the poses you pick that day and what you say about them, even if you don't maybe think about it like here's my script, because we typically don't encourage coming to class with the scripts or not even with notes. Typically we ask students to, and that depends on each individual how much they're connected and they can like channel what they're saying, but it comes from our heart.
Mm.
What is in your heart is going to come into community if you let it, if you feel that it's safe.
Yeah.
And now we've been doing this for so many years that it's a good question you asked, because we just take it for granted that of course we do self-inquiry and share and discuss what's on our hearts, because that's what we do. That's how we navigate life.
Mm. Yeah, I kind of feel like if I, when we go to lead a yoga class, we all have many things. Our students, if we're teaching a class and there's 20 students there, and somebody might look sad and someone might look, spaced out, and we might have stories around it, being a boring yoga teacher, whatever the case is. But like people are navigating things, right? They're going through things in their life, and the same is true, obviously, for us as the yoga teacher. And so I know for myself, if I try to just like suppress it, press it down, not deal with it. I mean, again, in a 60-minute yoga class, we don't have to share our deepest, darkest secrets, but being able to show up, open and vulnerable and real, and creating that connection, that's ultimately what yoga is about, right? Yoga is about connection. It's about union and coming together with community, with ourselves, with the breath, with the divine, many different ways to yoke, to unite. And that's one of them. And sometimes even just this act of sharing, it's like it diffuses, right? If something could be like kind of built up inside, there's like some energy around it, just being able to share it, and just being, it's like clear it out, and then to be able to get present with our students, present with whatever task is in front of us. And that's another whole aspect of yoga, right? Like being in the moment, being present.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's so much to say about the impact of self-inquiry. And I guess the purpose of self-inquiry would be to process what is on our heart, but also let life kind of impact us and change us so that we can assimilate and distinguish the learning
Mm,
that is happening, and we're constantly becoming. So that means you're a mystery to me and I'm a mystery to me. Like, yes, I have some, like, I kind of feel home in myself, but also in the same time, I am constantly evolving and my soul is eternal.
mm.
So it's kind of part of our practice is to, with humility and perspective, look at ourselves from also from the eternal perspective, meaning that we don't know everything about ourselves and our past. If you knew everything about everything with regards to your past, how fun would it be to write that book? You wouldn't discover anything new. And nobody else would either. If you were just lecturing, like, here's the structure, blah, blah, point, you know, bullet point number one, and then you went on,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be a journey.
Yeah, so for me somehow there's so much I forget.
Mm.
I just, we had a family gathering on the Labor Day long weekend, and I've got a cousin, Jessica, my uncle Mikko's daughter, Jessica, and and she was telling this story about this swimming race that her and I had several years ago on the Labor Day long weekend here at my parents. We had a swimming race, and she was winning, but then I ended up winning, and everybody was there watching, and I have like no recollection, and I wasn't even drinking at this stage. I
Didn't
was
we
so,
do the Olympics?
yeah, that was different. That was with my dad's side of the family.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, the point being is there's so much like that we don't remember. So being able to go back and to relive it, and to and to and I suppose part of discovering our story will be to engaging with the people who were part of it, who knew us at those stages, and to, yeah, I'm sure there's, coming to your work of therapy, there could be some good therapeutic potential in this as well. Just part of the 12-step program, right? I don't think we have any 12 steppers on right now, but those who are, like, one of the steps is like making amends
Hmm.
with those that you might have hurt in some way. And I don't know, I feel like this going back and reliving, seeing it through the perspective of divinity, and then also, doing the hard work of facing some of the things that maybe I'm just kind of brushing over or not feeling or not fully seeing.
Yeah, that's powerful and very courageous, you know. Not everybody would be willing to do that for themselves and be that honest. And there's like, we can see at any event from different perspectives and different layers of awareness, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's how we gain the wisdom then, and the like even knowing what to amend and how things impacted us
Hmm.
and who they've shaped us to who we are today.
Yeah, I just noticed that it's easy to stay in my comfort zone. And even though like some may look at me or some may look at you or we look at others and be like, "Wow, they did these courageous things or they traveled to another part of the world," and so we all do courageous things. But for sure my tendency is to stay in my comfort zone. Like that's kind of the default. And so much that like there's a neighbor here who's just up in the summer because it's a cottage, Greg, and it's like we were like best buddies every summer in the early, as teenagers. But then actually once we got into the 20s, basically once I hit 20, my drinking really became a problem. And so there were lots of fun times, but lots of embarrassing times and probably lots of, yeah, hurtful, not physically, but just not being as good, just not being a good person. And so anyway, the point being, this guy Greg is up like every summer, and I kind of like see him on his dock as I'm going by on the boat with my dad, or I see him drive by, or I'm out swimming and I see him, and I'm not going over and talking. So that there is that part of me that's just like, even though we could talk about 95% of our life was just like amazing, but there was just a few moments, alcohol related, where I think I actually don't know. I couldn't tell you any specifics, but I just feel like I probably was foolish and I probably wasn't my best self, and I'm like embarrassed to face this person, someone who I love, and then loved for years. So maybe going back and reliving, or you know I don't know, I just see some opportunity for healing as part of the journey.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you relate that to comfort zone. And even if you don't have a concrete memory, like I should apologize for having done this, that, or the other thing, um, way back. There's not an event you remember, but you know that something wasn't right, and you feel like you want to make it right, perhaps on some level, like because maybe also like with passing of time, we know that one day, he won't come back to the cottage anymore, or not that he's old and you're not old, but
Yeah.
time is precious too. And
Hmm.
and it would feel better to have a heart connection with him,
Yeah.
even if you met him only three more times from now till eternities, or
Yeah.
zero times if you just only wave at each other when you pass by on the boat. Wouldn't it be more beautiful to, it's almost like, kind of like you said, it's a buddy of yours that you love and loved, but now that love can't flow because of some blockage that happened in the past. And it would only take one conversation. I was like, hey, how are you doing? And do you remember that time? Like, I don't feel so great about that. And I apologize. Like, whatever ways, you would say it, that would undo the blockage. And he would be, your good friend from the past that you have beautiful, mostly beautiful memories with, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and there, because I think that we make up a lot of stuff as
Yeah.
well. Like there's things that we just don't remember. I think as I'm thinking about it now, like I was the kind of drunk that like I do good in the bush. Like keep Jack in the bush. Keep you out in the country, out by the fire. He'll be
Because,
fine. Don't bring him to town. Don't bring him to
because
the city. What's
why?
that?
Say
Well, it's
why?
just, my manners, to be out in public. So I think I just remember a time like we always partied here at the cottage, and it's just we're out in the bushes, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to hurt. But one time we met up. He's from near Toronto, a town called Burlington, and we met up. I think it's called Sharky's, is maybe the name of the place, and we just went there. And but I still drank and showed up the way that I do out in the middle of nowhere. So basically drinking to the point of, you know, comatose, but still somehow still standing. And I don't even, I mean, probably foolish things happen, but I don't remember anything specific. But the point being, I feel like just like kind of embarrassed. And that has happened so many times. Visiting a friend Lauren in Chicago, that happened. I mean, the hundreds of times that has happened, right? Just kind of going too far. And and sometimes I'm sure foolish things did happen, and sometimes maybe not. I guess there's just like some, as I think about it, there's just like a bit of embarrassment about it.
Yeah,
I not even it's not even embarrassment of like what will they think of me, but it's like I'm sorry if I embarrassed you in front of your friends.
yeah.
You kind of brought me this, hey, this is my buddy Jack from the cottage, and whoa, he's just like out of
And then
control.
maybe you were an asshole to his friends at the end of the evening or something.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know that specifically, but
Yeah,
anything's possible.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's just like I guess it comes back to that, and but then coming back to seeing everything through grace, all of these moments, uh, I somehow have now like a higher level of compassion for others. Having been overweight and been teased myself, and having been on the other side, been the drunk, foolish person, and maybe saying, being an idiot. I just have this hypersensitivity now to like, okay, I've got some sense of control, and I really want people to feel welcome and accepted and loved. And so there's the good in it, but I guess what I'm saying is there's probably some opportunity to go back and face and just make amends. I haven't done any of that. I mean, let's be honest. I've kind of dealt with. I've moved past everything myself, but I haven't gone back to like past relationships and really sincerely. Not that there's a bunch of broken ones out there, but you know, I
Yeah.
think that there could be something there to just revisit and just bring some healing, bring some love.
Maybe it's a conversation of integrity then as
Yeah.
well. Like you feel like you're out of integrity with that person because you were behaving in a way that isn't who you actually are
Yeah.
at the core of your being.
And so I guess that just as I'm thinking through and I'm thinking about again our friend Tony Robbins, it's like how do we find the right balance? Hannah, you as a therapist and then others a lot in the personal development world, it's like I'm really good at just like looking forward, not dwelling on the past, accepting the future, accepting the present for how it is, and just like boom, looking forward. So how I guess finding that balance, because I suppose some people live in the past. They kind of very wrapped up in different ways. So I'm seeing this as like a practice, but I don't know, just for others out there who are maybe thinking about it, right? I guess we have to know ourselves. How much do we need to go back and make amends, and how much to give ourselves grace and be compassionate and be kind and just like be a good person going forward. Suppose there's some balance of both.
I'm thinking we all have some core wounding. Coming back to the parenting thing, like our children too will have core wounding. We cannot shield them from it. It's part of the human experience. And yes, we'll do everything in our power to keep them as safe as we can, but we also are, we only have a certain perspective, that of a parent. So we want that our kids to be okay so that it won't break our hearts. But they still will have to have their human experience. And that's a reality. And so now that we're all adults, if we can acknowledge our core wounding, the things that happened that still might impact us. Like sometimes, I know this is going to sound extreme, but sometimes it's said that our personality is just a trauma response. It kind of adaptations to what happened. I don't know that that is the only way to see personality, but like our adapting to things that happened will have an impact on us and shape us. And some things are still hurting or they get triggered in certain environments. And so part of our practice is to hold and know the impact. Because if we bypass that, we're kind of ignoring the lessons and the impact of the past. And yes, we can heal a lot of that wounding. I think we can, but it's always going to impact. It's going to be part of who we are. And that's how it becomes a part of our practice, is to know, hey, I have issues with regards to, I don't know, whatever it is. Someone has, what would be a good example? I don't know. I can only use myself, like childhood neglect. That's going to impact my personality and my relationships in certain ways. It will make me to easily surrender or fawn or people please or not put boundaries or not advocate for myself, for example. And then that turns into unhealthy relationships if that keeps on going for 10 years, where then I'm not being responsible for my needs, for example. So, yes, I can talk about it, but it becomes my practice to notice and hold myself in it and maybe practice some new ways, practice healing the parts of myself that could be, still hurting. So there's parts of us that are sometimes activated by situations, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then there's other things that we can say that we have fully navigated, let's say, or let's say we've integrated them, like grief in my life. I can say that I've integrated it. I can discuss it. I can navigate it. I know it impacts me, but I can tolerate it without collapsing, or, I can have all the emotions and process them and let that inform me, who I'm becoming. So it's almost like yoga. It becomes our practice. But if I'm dishonest, then I'm not really practicing alignment and integrity. If I say, oh no, I'm over that, that has no impact, like our relationship will have an impact on each of us from now till eternity. We'll keep learning from it, even 15 years from now. Just like you're sharing now, when you look back, you're still learning from events that happened 20 years ago or more. So, in that way, the past won't be gone, and it's okay. We can keep integrating it.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. I think Coco's saying time's up.
Yeah.
He's right on time, right on cue. But the journey home continues. So those who are here reading the book study with us this month, excited to be on that journey together. Huge shout out Hanna, Hannah, Cece, Jim, Rita, Sarah and George, Sue, Tanya. Thank you for being here live with us. Facebook Live, Spotify, Apple, all the good stuff. Back again next week, and lots of great calls coming up this week. But my friends, until we meet again, send the love. Namaste.
Namaste, friends.